Nobody believed the new hire until she pulled up the security footage on her own phone, in front of the family that had just fired her. I was hired to be a live-in night nurse for an 81-year-old man named Walter, 3 weeks after his daughter moved him out of assisted living and into his own house again. She said she wanted him somewhere he'd remember. I believed her. She seemed tired in the good way, the way people look when they're doing something hard because they love someone. Walter didn't talk much the first week. Then one night he grabbed my wrist while I was adjusting his blanket and said, "Don't let her back in after 9. I asked who. He just repeated it. "Don't let her back in after 9. I thought it was confusion. He had a mild dementia diagnosis, nothing severe, but enough that his daughter, Renee, had warned me he sometimes said strange things. I wrote it in my notes and moved on. Then I found the second lock. It was on the inside of the pantry door. A small hook and eye latch, cheap, the kind you buy for a shed. It hadn't been there during my walkthrough. Renee installed it herself, she told me, in case he wanders and gets into something. I asked what was in the pantry that needed locking. She said medication overflow. I didn't push. 3 nights later, I heard the front door open at 11:40 p.m. I wasn't supposed to be awake, but Walter's monitor picked up movement in the hallway, and it wasn't him. I stayed in my room with the door cracked and watched a shape move past. Renee, in the same coat she'd worn that morning when she left for the week. She went straight to the pantry, unhooked the latch, and stayed inside for 11 minutes. I know because I timed it on my phone. In the morning, I checked the pantry myself while Walter napped. Behind the flour and the canned soup was a shoebox of unopened mail, all addressed to Walter, all from his bank. Statements. A letter from his credit union about a new authorized user added to his account. A letter about a reverse mortgage application. Unsigned, waiting. I didn't say anything to Walter. I didn't know yet if he'd understand, and I didn't want to plant something in his head that I couldn't take back. So I did what I'd learned to do in this job when something doesn't add up. I documented. I photographed every page in that shoebox. I noted the date and time Renee had come in that night, cross-checked it against the monitor log, saved the clip. 4 days later, Renee called an agency meeting and told them I was overstepping, that I'd been going through her father's private financial matters, and that she wanted a different nurse assigned. She said it calmly, like she'd rehearsed it walking in. My supervisor, a woman named Priya, sat across from me with Renee beside her, already halfway convinced. I asked if I could show them something before they made a decision. I opened my phone and turned it around. The timestamp, the shoebox, the unsigned reverse mortgage form with Walter's name typed in, and a signature line still blank, dated for a meeting 3 days out. The authorized user letter. The monitor clip of the front door opening at 11:40 p.m. on a night Renee had told me she'd be 4 hours away. Priya went quiet in the way people go quiet when the story they were told stops matching the one in front of them. She asked Renee directly why she needed access to a locked pantry at midnight if it only held expired medication. Renee didn't answer the question. She said I had no right to be filming inside a private home. Nobody responded to that either, because nobody in the room believed anymore that the filming was the problem. Priya asked to see Walter. He was in his recliner, watching the weather with the sound off. She crouched next to him and asked, gently, if he knew about any papers from the bank. He looked at her for a long moment, then said the same 4 words he'd said to me that first week. Don't let her back in. Priya called Adult Protective Services from the driveway before she'd even reached her car. Renee stood in the doorway watching her go, and when she turned back around, she looked at me the way Braddock must have looked at that binder. Not sorry, just caught. I still don't know what happens to a daughter who gets reported by the nurse she tried to fire. I only know I'd rather live with that than with 11 minutes of silence I chose not to time.